Okay, so this time, a while ago, I'll just simply give you the supply chain management ISO standard. This time, this will be the ISO standard in general, no? The ISO standard is an international standard setting body composed of representatives from various national standard organizations. Okay, so the International Organization for Standardization is an independent, non-governmental organization, the member of which are the standard organizations of the 165 member countries. Now, it is the world's largest developer of voluntary international standards, and it facilitates world trade by providing common standard among nations. So more than 20,000 standards have been set, covering everything from manufactured products and technology to food safety, agriculture, and healthcare. Use of the standards aids in the creation of products and services that are safe, reliable, and good quality. So the standard help businesses increase productivity while minimizing errors and waste. So by enabling products from different markets to be directly compared, they facilitate companies in entering new markets and assist in the development of global trade on a fair basis. So the standards also serve to safeguard consumers and the end users of products and services, ensuring that certified products conform to the minimum standard set internationally. So to discuss with us the details about ISO standard, specifically or ISO 9001 2015, let us all welcome Madam Leah. Go ahead, Madam.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Lea Villar, your presenter for this afternoon. My topic is about ISO standard ISO 9001 version 2015. ISO, or the International Organization for Standardization, is an international standard-setting body based in Geneva, Switzerland. It is dedicated to developing voluntary standards that ensure product safety and quality while encouraging innovation in global marketplace. Its fundamental mission is to provide common specifications, terms, standards, and unit of measurement to organizations around the world. The purpose of this standard is to help organizations to provide products and services that meet all relevant customer needs and expectations and comply with all relevant regulatory and statutory requirements. ISO developed documents which provide requirements, specifications, guidelines, or characteristics which can be used consistently to ensure that materials, products, processes, and services are fit for their purpose. ISO's overall mission is built on the following core initiatives for its members. First, strengthening the links between standardization and public policy by providing thought leadership and promoting awareness of best practices. Identifying and building national standardization strategies by applying best practices. Ensuring the efficient operation of their organizations while managing financial sustainability and risk. Ensuring participation of and collaboration with key stakeholders in all standardizations projects. And last, increasing adherence to good standardization practices among standards experts in every national organization and evaluating all processes to determine their alignment with the World Trade Organization or WTO or Technical Barriers to Trade TBT agreement. Now let us discuss ISO 9001 version 2015. The number after ISO is the identifier of the standard. ISO 9001 is one of the most well-known ISO standards defining criteria for general quality management system. ISO 9001 is part of the wider ISO 9000 family. All standards within ISO 9000 refer to quality management. Essentially, this standard is designed to help organizations to be more efficient and more successfully meet the needs of their customers. ISO 9001 was first published in 1987. The latest iteration, ISO 9001 version 2015, replaces ISO 9001-2008. It is published in September 2015 and is already the most widely adopted standards in the history of standards. It defines the guiding principles that can be used to create efficiencies by aligning and streamlining processes throughout the organization. It is an international standard dedicated to Quality Management System or QMS. The QMS is the aggregate of all the processes, resources, assets, and cultural values that support the goal of a customer satisfaction and organizational efficiency. What is Quality Management System? It is a term that refers to a system in charge of documenting all processes, responsibilities, and procedures for achieving quality objectives and policies. These are the importance of quality management system. First, engaging staff, lowering cost, reducing wasted materials, setting company-wide direction, identifying and facilitating training opportunities, and lastly, improving processes. Now let us discover what is in ISO 9001 version 2015 and how is it different from ISO 9001 version 2008. ISO 9001 version 2015 and its complementary management standards are based on the following 7 quality principles. First is the customer focus. Customer focus means exceeding customer expectations and providing satisfaction and value with every customer interaction. It requires an organization to link every business objective to customer needs and to recognize that customers are those that have both direct and indirect relationships with an organization. The second one is leadership. Leadership must commit to ensuring the availability of all resources for quality projects and to providing positive role models through active participation, proactive communication of vision and strategy, and an organization-wide engagement with a culture of quality. Third is the engagement of people. Organization must engage and empower competent and motivated workers while encouraging everyone to contribute and collaborate. The fourth is the process approach. A process approach recognizes that processes must be part of a unified and consistent system that produces predictable results, illuminates elements that require improvement, and addresses all risks that have an impact on process outcomes. Fifth is the improvement. An ongoing dedication to improvement reacts to changes in external and internal conditions to create new opportunities by focusing on root cause determination and preventative and corrective actions. Six is the evidence-based decision making. Making decisions based on statistical evidence provides greater objectivity, effectiveness, and efficiency to an organization and makes it easier to review results for ongoing improvement. And lastly is the relationship management. Organizations must account for and manage relationship with all vendors, partners, and suppliers to understand that constraints, opportunities, and risks for each. These principles are the strategic basis for all decisions relating to quality management in the organization and are infused within all aspects of the ISO 9001 language. Every organization will prioritize each principle in a different way at various stages of their development. ISO 9001 version 2015 contains a subset of tactical elements that complement the strategic principles discussed. These 5 elements, which represent a significant advance on ISO 9001-2008 are: first, the plan, do, check, act cycle. Second, risk-based thinking. Third, leadership participation. Fourth, unified structure. And lastly, clarified documentation requirement. Now let us discuss the plan, do, check, act cycle. It is a process approach that manages processes and systems to create a cycle of continuous improvement. The first stage is the plan. The organization must determine the objective of the QMS and maps all processes that will be within its scope, provides all resources necessary for meeting customer requirements and all internal and external interests, and identifies and addresses all risks and opportunities. The second one is the do. The organization implements the quality management system according to the parameters determined during the planning stage. And the next stage is the check, which is the organization's measures the processes and outputs against the objectives and requirement. And the act, which the organization must implement that to remedy the and to correct any deviations or inefficiencies and to improve overall performance of the quality management system. Now let us discuss the second tactical element of the ISO 9001:2015, which is the risk-based approach. In the clause 4 in ISO 9001:2015 is the context of the organization, which deals with understanding the priorities of the organization and its stakeholders, as well as the risks involved with impending change. Context refers to all the issues that impact an organization and that are impacted by the opportunities and risks at hand. While ISO 9001:2015 sometimes seems to present risk as the opposite of opportunity, it actually provides a more nuanced concept of risk as it applies to an organization. In this approach, opportunities arise from favorable situations intended to achieve a positive result, such as developing a new product or enhancing an old one to attract new customers or enter a new market. Such opportunities can also carry risks associated with change. ISO 9001 version 2015 does not provide prescriptive methods for implementing or documenting risk management in an organization. As with other sections of the standard, it is up to each organization to determine their own approach to managing risk and the level of risk which they are comfortable. Now let us discuss leadership participation. Leadership also has the following requirements for demonstrating its commitment to quality management system. First, taking accountability for the effectiveness of the QMS. Second, ensuring that the QMS is aligned to the context and strategy of the organization. Integrating the QMS into the organization's existing processes, and promoting the QMS and risk-based thinking. Acquiring required resources for the QMS, communicating the importance of adhering to the QMS, supporting the staff who maintain the QMS, promoting the continual improvement of the QMS, and lastly, supporting leadership in other areas that support QMS. Now let us discuss the unified high-level structure. The fundamental impact of Annex SL is that all ISO standards dedicated to management system requirements, including ISO 9001 version 2015, ISO 14001 version 2015, and ISO 45001 version 2018, will now have the following identical elements. Since ISO had been developing a unified structure for management system standards since the early 1990s, the ISO Technical Management Board created a technical advisory group to develop these requirements, and in 2011 published them as the Annex SL in the ISO ISA directives. The elements that should be included are the clause titles, sequence of clause titles, text, and terms and definition. This table shows the high-level structure for all management system standards as defined by the Annex SL. It includes scope, normative reference, terms and definitions, context of the organizations, leadership, planning, support, operation, performance evaluation, and improvement. Now let us discuss the documentation. Previous iterations of ISO 9001 have received criticism for placing an excessive burden for documentations on organizations. To meet this criticism, ISO 9001 version 2015 does not prescribe specific approaches to the governance of documentation. It is up to organization to determine its approach to maintenance, retention, and disposition of all documents. Organization must ensure that all documentation has adequate identifying information. Maybe it's in media format that facilitates easy and efficient interaction, and that it is regularly reviewed and approved by appropriate subject matter experts. Organization must also ensure that documentation is subject to governance that addresses control, distribution, storage, retention, security, and disposition. The table shows the required documentation for ISO 9001 to version 2015. It must contain the scope of the QMS, operation of QMS processes, communicating quality policy, quantity objectives, resources, measurement, traceability, competence, documented information, creating and updating, control of documented information, operational planning and control, requirements for products and services, changes to requirements for products and services, design and development inputs, and lastly, design and development controls. It must also contain design and development outputs, design and development changes, control of external processes, products, and services, control of production and services, provision, identification and traceability, property belongings to customers or external providers, control of changes, release of products and services, control of non-conforming outputs, monitoring, measurement, analysis and evaluation, internal audit, management review outputs, and non-conformity and corrective action. Now let us discuss the benefits of an ISO 9001 certification. First, it helps organizations to increase their profit potential and market share. It helps them to save time from more efficient resource management, and recurring problems and anomalies reduced or eliminated. Brand image and credibility are improved. Now, Manual work is reduced with process integration and process automation. And lastly, organization efficiency and effectiveness is improved by using data and evidence to inform decision making. Now let us discuss the benefits of an ISO 9001 certification to customers. 9001 provides assurance that a company or organization is a reliable, high-quality vendor. Customer satisfaction is a prime focus of ISO 9001. Customer feedback can be quickly and efficiently acted upon, and preemptive planning means issues are addressed. Now let us discuss the benefits of an ISO 9001 certification to employees. It helps employees to secure jobs. Employees report higher job satisfaction and workplace happiness due to their roles being clearly defined and streamlined. Training, onboarding, and educational resources are more readily available. Implementation of a QMS can foster a company culture of continuous improvement. Employees become more engaged and feel more responsible for the processes they are using. Now, to get an ISO 9000 certified organization have to first build and implement a quality management system in accordance with the principles of the ISO 9001 version 2015 standard. Number 2, they must have an audit performed by the certified body or registrar to assess the performance of QMS against the ISO 9001 standard. Number 3, if successful, the certificate will need to be recertified after 3 years to make sure they still up to standard. Let us all remember that ISO 9001 version 2015 sets a global standard for quality management systems and ensures their efficiency for products, services, and international supply chains. Whether an organization is starting down the path of a QMS or transitioning to the 2015 standard, ISO 9001:2015 embodies the best practices of quality management and quality certification. That is all. Thank you.
Okay, so once again, as I mentioned earlier, no, uh, okay, so the most important things when it comes to ISO, so we need to look into the ISO documents, have a strict copyright restriction, and ISO charge for most copies actually if you are asking for the guidelines for ISO. No? So again, most commonly, no, as I mentioned earlier, the organizations began in 1920s of the International Federation and National Standardization Association. Okay, so that is all about the ISO standard.